A very pleasant good evening, viewers, and welcome to another edition of Full Disclosure here on Tobago Updates. I am your host for tonight, Terrence Baines, and of course, this program we are really thankful for the opportunity to use this medium to engage in conversations that we think is very useful to the population. um, I want to say from the very onset, um, last week we want to express sincerest gratitude to Mr. Collis Brown for hosting the program last week and for Secretary James being a guest as well. My own feeling is that that was the best program that we have done thus far, and we are going to see more of that programming and so on going forward. And so I want to just express our gratitude to them. I know it was a tremendous learning time. There was an enormous amount of information put in the space that people could interact with, and I know that people really appreciated the program. So, we started off this season of the program with the theme War Against the THA, War Against Tobago, and Secretary James visited with us on two programs and did an exceptional job, extensive job at that, in laying the foundation. And we talked about the different things that pertain to this war. And so now we are continuing tonight as to how we respond to this war that has been declared on us here in Tobago, on the governance landscape, on us as a people, as a matter of fact. And guesting with me tonight is my dear friend and colleague, and also the Assistant Secretary in the Division of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport, Assistant Secretary Wayne Clark. And we are very glad to have him with us tonight because of the subject matter that we're going to be discussing. Mr. Clark, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Tobago. Good evening, Pastor. It's nice to be here. It's a
Yes,
pleasure to be
I'm
here.
very happy, to have you here with us because we are very excited as a division, and I know as a people in Tobago, we should be excited about the Commonwealth Games that are going to be hosted here in the country of Trinidad and Tobago. And here in Tobago, we are going to be hosting some four of the disciplines. Um, and I wanted to talk about this as one of the response to all that has been declared against us and all the battles that we're facing and so on, and a response to say that we are still going to continue to forge ahead and push ahead with our ambitions as an administration, with our ambitions as a division and so on, and our ambitions as a people. Now, you went to the Commonwealth and so on, and was there when the initial idea about Trinidad and Tobago would be hosting this Commonwealth Youth Games at this time. What was that experience like?
I think it was a good experience. I accompanied Minister Kojo to England, the Sports Ministers Conference in the Commonwealth. So it was a good experience, and it was finalized there, actually made official that Trinidad and Tobago was going to host the games. So we got to take in a few bits of the Commonwealth Games, which was in progress at the time. And I must say it was a learning experience to have the experience of seeing things done from a different level. From a layman point of view, you usually just see the end of it. But I was privileged to see sort of where it started and the planning and the early meetings and from August last year to now, the visits, the preparation, it didn't slow down. It
Right.
just get more intense. So, as I say, it was a great experience and it was a great learning curve for me. And it was one of the things that I'm really grateful for. And, we stand ready in Tobago because we promise the people that we will work to create a better life for them. And this is one of the ways that we're going to show that in terms of we decide to do a couple legacy projects with the events that we are hosting. We are hosting the beach volleyball, the netball, which is at the cultural complex, the Shaw Park complex. The beach volleyball is at the Corlan, the triathlon at Buku, and the rugby sevens at Shaw Park, the recreation ground.
All right.
So Shaw Park comes into prominence there twice.
Right.
The recreation ground, which we traditionally know as the traditional Shaw Park,
Right.
and the complex.
The cultural complex. All right. So before we go in there and so on, I want to talk about your feeling about the impact of Tobago hosting. I mean, it's the Commonwealth Youth Games. So let's talk about what are the age groups we're talking about.
It ends at 18. So I think it's from 14 to 18.
Okay. So as a Tobagonian first, and then by extension, a member of the executive in Tobago, a member of the governance infrastructure, and so on. How do you feel about Tobago having the opportunity to host 4 of the disciplines of 8 disciplines that will be held? How do you feel about that?
Well, actually, I could say it's the first time in our history that something, I don't know if this is the start of things to come, but something actually went down the middle. So we can say in this aspect, it's side by side.
Yes.
So probably let's hope it's a sign of things to come. Right? So I think we are really excited. The teams that has been at the venues preparing and doing an excellent job. And the good thing about it, especially in the case of Corlan, or some people would just say Black Rock, that facility will go on beyond the games, and the Tobago public, the Trinidad and Tobago public, will have the use of that world-class facility even after the game.
All right. So I wanted to eat the meat on the plate too much yet. So as we looking in and so on, and what how many countries, if you can, on average, that will be with us on average?
Well, for the whole games, it's quite a few. It's somewhere in the vicinity of 60, 50 or 60. But in Tobago, I'm not sure as to the exact number, because sometimes, because situations change, numbers change.
Right. Okay.
Right. But sometimes the numbers, you see it go up a little. It comes down a little. As I say, situations change, and it determines how the numbers are.
Right.
But what we are having, where we're gonna have most of the athletes at the closing ceremony. The opening ceremony is going to be in Trinidad. The closing ceremony is going to be in Tobago. Which I think on that morning, the entire contingent from all the different countries is going to be brought to Tobago, probably some by air, some by sea, for that closing ceremony, and they depart the same day.
Okay. So I'm trying to picture Tobago hosting games like this and so on. Picture the kind of international buzz, because of the representation from these countries around the world and so on, and the kind of climate that this would be happening in, and the impact this should have or could have on the Tobago people and so on. I know the journey has not been an easy one. You understand, where we are at this point. It does, and and that's a given and so on. But I think that observing the way, and I guess with your experience with sport and so on, and the kind of sports fit that you have, even for the role that you have and so on. I am particularly encouraged by the way you have handled even some of the things that kind of spill in a way that we may not have necessarily wanted to spill. But I think because of your disposition, those things did not turn out to be too messy to impact the integrity of what we're trying to do in Tobago.
Well, firstly, if a mess is made, somebody has to clean it, and it takes time.
Okay. Right.
But I prefer to focus on the subject at hand. We are going to host a game.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to build a facility. And that's just where it starts and ends with me.
Right.
Nothing else. Focus on the game. Somebody choose to talk. Somebody want to get involved in senseless chatter.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't. It will not deter me. It will not come to the fore with me. My focus
Mm-hmm.
is on getting this facility up and running for the games and more so for the people of Tobago. So the distractions
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't really play a part with me because I see myself as one being focused and focused only on the subject at hand.
Right. Got you. So I had some, we have some images that we want to go to in sequence. We want to go to the traditional Shore Park, which was the mecca of sport in the day. You understand?
Well, it still is.
And still is, and some of the work that has been done there at Shore Park. For some reason, I never noticed the top there as a place that people could, could go up and sit or stand safely. You understand?
Well, that was done a while ago. I think that was done in preparation for when Bangladesh played a one-off game in Tobago
Okay.
some years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So that was actually done for that. I think it has rarely been used the top since
Mm-hmm.
because traditionally, it was a galvanized roof.
Right.
It's concrete now, and as you could see from the footage, the team is really doing EID Cut is really doing a fantastic job,
Yes.
and
Yes.
they are working at a pace that will make things strange to us. Things like overruns and
Mm-hmm.
time delays and all that thing. They seem to be so focused that those things we want to believe would be things and words of the past.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I must say that the head of the Tobago organizing committee,
Yes.
the for the Commonwealth Games,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Leacock and George Leacock specifically, I have to single him out and congratulate him. He's doing a marvelous job. And he has a team, of Mr. Trim, Mr. Brown, Mr. Hislop. They're just doing a wonderful job. And with people like that, the hardest thing I have to do is to just watch and congratulate them. They're out of this world.
Right. And I could attest to that from having conversations with them as well, and actually going there and seeing the work and so on. And Shore Park has so much, importance on the Tobago landscape and so on. I was particularly impressed looking at the turf, and the drainage work that has been done on the turf and so on, because we know there were some areas that we had some water challenges.
We used to suffer from some flooding because apparently there was some drainage there installed some time ago.
Yes.
And it sort of, for different reasons, wasn't getting the use that was intended.
Right.
So the drainage was redone. And as you could see, we got to give it a new name now, not just Shore Park, the best Shore Park. Because it's really in a fantastic, condition. It's really it's a wonder to watch now.
Right. So you were saying that the discipline that will be played there is the
rugby sevens.
Rugby seven.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know much about rugby and so on.
Well, that's the easiest one to understand. It's rugby and it's seven.
Yeah. But seeing the game played on television and so on, it always seems like a kind of this is like that is like a contact sport. You understand?
It is.
And it always seems to be a kind of rough. And the men, the physique of the players, especially, well, we've seen some of the countries that seem to have excelled in rugby, of course, like South Africa, Australia, England, New Zealand, these kind of countries. And I wonder why is that? What are your thoughts on that and so on?
Well, I mean, generally they have a large focus on it. We we don't focus too much on any one discipline. I guess that's why it's difficult for us to excel.
Okay.
We sort of kind of all over,
Yes,
you
yes,
know,
yes,
and
yes.
but these countries make large investments in these sports, and because of that, they reap the rewards.
Right, 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 right.
You know, one of our biggest challenges seem to be development. You know, while they take it from the ground up,
Right.
we think it could be done another way. I'm not sure how successful that could be.
Right, because I can't tell the last time that I saw rugby being played, I mean, except on TV. I was just going back in my mind because I know in that ground opposite the cricketing facility there in Port of Spain, there's a ground to the north of the cricket park that I've seen rugby. Well, I've seen them practicing and so on, and so there seem to be much more. Well, of course, per capita, but more enthusiasts of rugby in Trinidad than in Tobago.
Well, if you look at it, you will see that in a lot of sports. For instance, for years, Tobago had one female football team. That was Phoenix. In Trinidad, you'll have many other teams. So it means that the teams from Tobago, the lone team, has to travel
Yeah,
a lot.
right.
If you look at the Super League, we might have 2 teams or we might have 3 teams the most. But usually the Tobago teams, because of the small numbers, always have to do the bulk of the traveling. Right?
Okay.
Rugby, in the case of rugby. And interestingly enough, there was a few people from Tobago, the late Jesse James, Granville, as Allen. Um, a few of them made it onto the national rugby team, even if it wasn't a sport that was popular in Tobago,
Right.
so
But there was still Tobago representation
there was
at
always, and
the highest level.
even modern day here, rugby's seen a revival in the Tobago space.
Right. So do you think that the fact that we having this Commonwealth Games and rugby is one of the disciplines that would be center stage that is going to give the rugby a shot in the army in
It
Tobago?
definitely will be a boost for these sports, definitely. And just to mention, hosting international games is nothing new to Tobago because quite successfully we did host a group in the 2001 Junior World Cup. And then 2010,
Okay.
we had the women's
Okay.
version of that World Cup. So
Right.
from time to time, and the feedback, the response from the 2001 World Cup, they brand Tobago as the best, host with the groups.
Okay.
The teams actually asked to be stationed here.
Right. So you think that is the infrastructure, the hospitality of the people? What are you?
It's a combination of that and the professionalism of the people who work behind the scenes.
Right.
Because people usually always see the end product. People don't see the work that has been done. As I say, I've been around in sport for a while, but this was a whole new experience for me because you get to see a different level of planning. I didn't know nothing about planning this year for next year, or next 2 years.
Right.
I know this week for next week. So it's a whole new, a whole new world open up to you that you get to see it from a different level.
Right.
And as we're speaking about that, as we're speaking about levels, the job that we are setting out to do in the Tobago space where sport is concerned, if you're going to talk sports tourism, you have to talk about proper facilities. And that's where the head of the department is actually now, that's where our head lies, in sort of not just going and do a quick fix on a facility, but try to get it up to that level that it could encourage people to actually come in. Because even on the announcing of the call-on facility that we're going to build at, I think within a few hours, a few days of the announcement, the body for those discipline, beat sport discipline, was already in contact with the Tobago committee, asking to for consideration to host games and to bring games to Tobago. So it tells you that if you have good facilities, the possibilities are endless. So we choose to put our heads down and work on upgrading the facilities. It will take a little time. It because of the funding that we have at our disposal. You have to align it properly, and you might be able to do one major thing a year, but you know what? It all adds up.
Yes.
And anything that we set out to do now, we're going to try to deliver for the people of Tobago a proper facility.
Right. And you know, the reason why, you know, my theme tonight is standing our ground. I mean, amidst all the other stuff that's happening, I think the thing that is important to us is that the work of governance in Tobago does not stop. The work of delivery, the work of aspiring to do things differently and to give the Tobago people a new perspective and so on, and to create the environment for all our people to thrive and to feel like we are as good as any. You understand what I'm saying? And I think that this is why I thought it was prudent for us to have this conversation tonight, notwithstanding, of course, putting the information out so that the people of Tobago can know that an international activity is taking place on our shores from the 4th of August to the 11th, and so on. And so people should prepare themselves. I know there are going to be a lot of people on the island and all that kind of stuff, and you know. So this would be something fantastic. I spoke to a medical official in Antigua just a couple of days ago, and she's actually visiting Trinidad for some kind of medical conference. And you know, she was asking me what happening in Tobago. So you know, because I was telling her, I mean, who comes to Trinidad and don't come to Tobago? You understand? Who does that? And so she's very, very excited to at least take in one or two of the games if the time and permits that. So I am also encouraged and impressed by your work and your leadership, you know, in this whole thing, because I can only imagine that it is a mammoth task. This is not, you understand?
Well, indeed it is, and not to mention the distraction that will go around from time to time. But as I say, that our job really is to focus and deliver for the people of Tobago, you know, and from the looks of things, it's not only for the people of Tobago anymore, it's for the world.
Yes.
Because the eyes of the world are on us. And, you know, you will have things from time to time in life that will try to throw you off your game. That's how I look at the rumors. That's how I look at the lot of talk in the space. But as I say, my focus is first, I'm duty bound to Tobago, and that's where my interest lies. Not in the senseless chitter chatter that's about in the air, not with the distractions, not with the attempts to destroy. You know, doing that, you have an automatic shield. Focus give you an automatic shield against those who think they are declaring war on you.
Right.
But
that's your point to make.
When you focus and you have that shield, things have a way of rebounding and going right back. You know, this sort of boomerang effect. So those who try to destroy you say, you know, I really don't focus on it, because to me, it's sort of senseless. It keeps you back from delivering.
Yes.
If you start getting caught up in the exchange of talks, and because you have to understand that it's easier to be senseless, to be useless at times, and to be disruptive from the outside. We are on the inside. It's sort of like you're going to a stadium to watch a game. We are on the field actually playing.
Right.
So you can't get distracted by the audience.
Right.
They could roar and cheer you on.
Yes.
But they shouldn't have an effect on you, because the reason why they cheer and roar is because of your outstanding performance on the field.
I get that. I get that.
You know, I urge all my colleagues to just don't pay too much attention to it, because responding to rumors takes time.
Yeah.
And it actually prevents you from doing what you set out to do. And the creators of the rumors are going to be the first ones to judge you for not doing nothing, not taking into consideration that you were sidetracked by the rumors, which you should never be. But I'm saying it's a time-consuming function, and it's something that we should really try to separate ourselves from and put ourselves focus on delivery for the people of Tobago.
Indeed.
I really cater and I focus on nothing else.
Right.
So with all the talk that in the air, all the talk that goes around, and first I'm so focused, it seems like when you're focused, they don't say nothing about you. They ain't saying nothing about me.
I see Tobago Sports Live saying, we need to get the basketball, and we could say that basketball and netball court, because that actually is in our sights to take care of those facilities and bring them up to par.
Well, yes, but just to mention that the floor that the netball gonna be played on is predominantly a basketball floor, right? It will host the netball because we did some altering to it,
right.
So it's at that place now where we could hold basketball, netball.
Right. I think it's the hard court outside they're talking about.
Right, yeah. But this being the standout one, we have a duty now which we are focusing on to do. We actually just launched an island-wide. The Chief Secretary just gave a directive to start the uplifting works on the courts around the island. As I say, it's going to take some time because of the lack of resources.
Right.
But that's
and the length of time that they've been without maintenance.
Right. So that's the sometimes even to talk about what was take up time, and it prevents you from actually going forward. As I say, we have it, we inherit it in this state, and I'm not going to sit around and cry over that.
Right.
If we got to give any level of improvement to the people of Tobago, then we had to roll up our sleeves and get to work immediately.
Agreed.
So that's where the focus is. And not only the courts.
Yes.
Right? The recreation grounds.
Yes.
We have a problem with the recreation grounds. Actually, two problems which we set out to sort of deal with. Most of the grounds have drainage problems.
Right. Now hold that point. We viewers, we're getting ready to go for a break. And we're going to come back. I'm talking with Assistant Secretary Wayne Clark, who pretty much has the responsibility to oversee the delivery of the various facilities around the island for the hosting of the Commonwealth Youth Games, those disciplines that will be held there in Tobago. Stay with us. We shall be back in a bit.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up and look, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up and look. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show. Good morning, good morning, put a smile on your...
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your life can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry if sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry if times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you. Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
Inner Health, number 13B Portmore, Scarborough, Tobago, with over 25 years experience offering services in and not limited to microscopic blood analysis, reflexology, and the sale of a wide range of organic herbal products used to supplement thyroid, lymphatic, heart, kidney, and brain health, and the male and female reproductive systems. Come and chat with us. Remember, your health is your wealth.
Viewers, welcome back. This is Full Disclosure here on Tobago Updates, and I'm your host, Terrence Baines. And tonight, guesting with me is Mr. Wayne Clark. We are talking about the Commonwealth Games. Our theme tonight is taking a stand there, and we've been talking about the war against Tobago and the war against the THA and so on, and how we respond to that. And what we are saying in essence is, despite all that is happening around us, we are going to continue to put our heads down and focus on the work that we were elected to engage and the commitment that we have made and so on. And of course, this is a big thing for us here in Tobago. And Mr. Clark, I know before we went to the break, you were talking about some of the work that has been done on the facilities and so on. So I'm going to continue on that point, and then we'll go to some other images of the that represent the cultural complex, because we know that there are some of the netball will be played there. Yeah. So let's engage.
Okay, so we were at the recreation grounds. Mm-hmm. We have major problems on the ground, and instead of sitting and just trying to do a quick fix, as we probably come to grow accustomed to in Tobago, we set out to sort of deal with the problem once and for all. So we're gonna set off to install drainage around the grounds, because sometimes the grounds appear to look good, and after 2 showers, you have a problem because of lack of drainage. And even in some of the cases where there were drainage, it sort of exhausts, it get exhausted over time. So we are setting out that when we get to one ground, you do it properly, and you get to the other ground. Mm-hmm. It will be a little inconvenience for some communities, but I'm saying that it's better you do it good than to do the customary. Right. So that's one of the things that's going to be a little more time consuming. I must apologize to Kane and Bonaccord. Mm-hmm. Instead of going in and trying to do a quick fix, we set out to sort of channel the thing the proper way and try to get it done right. We're going to look at putting drainage, because that is a problem in the Canaan space. That's true. That whole west is sort of flat, and drainage becomes even more important, not only on the fields but even
and that is a flood area as well.
So we're going to try to get it done right. I could tell you that Canaan, as much as I apologize for the delay, we just got the services of a professional in the field. We came and we assessed the ground, and works will start, because one of the problems is that we didn't have the THA doesn't have the necessary equipment that is required to do the work on the ground. We are, however, sourcing the equipment, be it by rent or whatever, to get the work done.
Right.
So,
right.
Canaan, we didn't forget you, and you are very much on the front burner.
Right.
We also assess Goodwood, Mongrace, Hope. All these grounds that was
Right,
in a
right.
real state.
Yes, yes.
But
I know Hope
you
has
know,
some
yes.
flooding
So you're
problems
gonna
as
take
well.
a little time,
Yes.
but we will get it done.
Right, right, right. So I want to ask my good friends to put up the images of the cultural complex, which is east of the fantastic Shore Park playing area that we are accustomed to, and of course, work is going on at pace there in upgrades and so on. What we were seeing in the first image, that is the side to the east. This is, yes, and we know that the wear and tear and the sea blast and that kind of thing. So all these things would be rectified and so on. And so in this image, you see what appears to be those little that look like a one on the top of the roof. Those are men. those are men. Let me ask the guys to zoom in if you can. Right? You might not recognize who the men are, but these are men that are on the top of the Shore Park Cultural Complex, because there's been some leaking and so on, and they are doing some work in trying to treat with that in readiness for the game. Yes.
If I may mention that that complex, the top floor has never been utilized.
Okay.
From its inception, the top floor has never been utilized because there was always a water problem there.
Okay.
Probably the people that went before us actually knew about the Commonwealth Games coming and thought that we would have host swimming at the top. But that didn't materialize. So some EID Cut is doing some extensive work on the roof now to have it ready, because they have a lot of leaks.
Yes.
The roof might look pretty from the road and wherever you pass and see it, but the reality is that it needs major works to get it, to where it should be.
Right, right.
And they are actually like 80% complete. I must commend them again. They work at a really blistering pace, and the work is being done, and it tells you that we have people in Tobago that can do the works and will get the works done.
Right. So we were looking at some of the images on the inside, because there had to be some reconfiguring of the bathroom areas and so on. Talk about that and
so that's the floor you're looking at now. It's covered with the canvas.
Right, the protected,
because of the leaking situation.
Okay.
That's so when you put it down,
Yes.
because that floor don't take too kind to water.
Right.
So when we put it down as a precautionary measure, you cover it.
Right.
But we soon will be able to get rid of the covers because the work is moving so quick on top.
Right.
So the floor is one, that is the floor down there. The rooms, you have the change rooms, you have room for official, you have room for actually everybody. I even have baby room if the people coming with baby to the games.
Right.
So the rooms are being redone to accommodate that, because we know that the building wasn't specifically built for that, so some retrofitting has to be done, which they are, that aspect of the work is ongoing. And from all indication, the last visit we did at the site, which was 2 days ago, the contractors said that we were on target.
Right. I wanted to comment about, I don't want to make the work too hard for the guys in the studio here, but to comment on the some of the runoffs on the side of on the edges of the playing surface, because we had was to have some retrofitting done by a gentleman that we know him as Monk, who's an expert, and Mr. Leacock has spoken extensively about his expertise and so on, and the way he came in. So if you could get back a couple of the image on the inside that represent the playing surface and so on. I thought that it was important to highlight that, because the right, these pieces that you're seeing on the edges there were designed and fitted by Monk.
Because it was predominantly a basketball floor.
Right.
So when the people came to inspect, that there was a need for a little added runoff.
Right.
So that was, we immediately brought in our local magician. And he immediately get to work, and he didn't disappoint.
Right.
I think his correct name is Mr. Winchester.
Mr. Winchester. And I should know that he originally from Bethel. I should know that.
And what you're seeing there is the wall's gonna be padded.
Right. I mean, and we
Yeah,
understand that.
safety precaution. The wall's gonna be padded also, but you know, he is doing a fantastic job, and he is, well, I shouldn't even say he on target, he before target, because he complete ahead of time.
Right.
You know, and
right.
it got the nod of approval. So I think where that is concerned, we are good to go.
Right. And I think this speaks, or I'm doing all of this, when I'm doing all of this, we're having this conversation to kind of say that regardless of what is happening in and around, we are not deterred. We are not deterred. We are moving ahead with what we set out to do, despite the negative, despite the opposition, despite the sometimes apparent lack of resourcing and financing that we need to do the things that we need to do, and so on.
Well, as we say, you know, focusing takes away the negative. It doesn't allow it to penetrate. You focus on what you have to do. I don't know about who trying to be negative, but my focus, I signed up to elevate Tobago, to make Tobago a better place, and to contribute to making Tobago the greatest little island on the planet. And you could only achieve that by being focused and sticking with the work, not sticking to rumors and negatives and, you know, the chit-chatter in the air. It doesn't help you. At the end of the day, you're going to be judged by your deliveries, not by your ability to respond to every rumor out there.
Indeed.
Because the rumors add up to zero delivery.
Indeed. You know, last year I had a thing in the district called the Baines Ball Bash, and we had football, we had basketball, and I just said, let me put in some netball. I you know, I mean, oblivious of how netball was doing in Tobago, but I just thought that there would be some. I was surprised at the amount of netball teams that showed up to the competition. I was also surprised at the level of the plays that I saw. You understand? And so I want you to comment about the impact of the netball discipline being played in the cultural complex and so on, and the impact that will have on netball in Tobago.
Even without the discipline being played in the complex, if netball is actually one of the sports that we are doing the best on the national stage with. Outside of athletics, I think the netball, because recently on one of the junior teams going abroad, we had over 6 players on the team, and even the senior team. Remember the coach and the manager.
Yes.
Along with about 4 other players.
Indeed.
So netball has been one of the disciplines that we have constantly been excelling with. So it's only fitting that we try to have proper venues, proper, you know, places that they could actually ply their craft and excel. I think that if we support them, then some people think support is in the form of money, but if you give them a better facility, then you could get a better athlete.
And no, that's a salient point that you're making. I don't know, it's as you raise it there, I remember that, I mean, but through the years, we have always produced excellent netballers. I mean, I remember, now as we're talking this, I I went to Bishops, and while I can't say that Bishops, and I don't want no Bishops people to come and go on the live and start talk, I can't remember Bishops having any exceptionally great netball team. I am not saying that there were none. I just
Let me just state clear, ladies and gentlemen, he on his own with that.
yeah, but I was just trying to say
Bishops
that
produce exceptional sportsmen and women.
indeed. But we're not disputing
So
that.
you're on your
But-
own with that statement.
But I'm thinking, and I'm sure maybe some Bishops people could come on the live and help me here. But it seems to me that Scarborough Secondary, Signal Hill Comprehensive, and so on, may have produced. I'm talking about as teams. I'm talking about as individuals, as some of the more dominant netball teams. Yeah,
Mr. Goodly gentlemen, as we speak now, Bishops are dominant with netball in
Yes.
Tobago.
uh,
They actually go to Trinidad, won the junior title. In basketball, they did the same.
right. Now remember, I'm talking about in my time.
So Bishops,
That's a disclaimer.
well, in your time, they were preparing to dominate.
Right. So the time I'm talking about, for those of you who are viewing who may be able to go back, was I'm talking about 1975, between 1975 and 1980. And for those of you who were in Bishops at that time, help me. I mean, I'm not, and it's not an attempt to bring down Bishops at all, but I was just saying that it seems to me in my mind, going back, that Shaw Park, that Scarborough Secondary, Signal Hills Senior Comprehensive, and some of the other schools had more dominant netball teams. If I stand corrected, and you can let me know if I am off on that.
What I know is that there was always fierce competition. There was always
Of course.
a high level
Of course.
of competition.
Of course.
And
Of
Tobago traditionally has been exceptional with netball. And I mean, even throughout the 80s with Signal Hill with football.
Yes.
And so
Right.
we has
But
always
that's
been there
a
and
serious
about.
point you're making there, because Signal Hill evolved as the mecca for nurturing the footballers from the intercol and so on. Scarborough Secondary was dominant, I know, in table tennis. Dominant.
But
in
then
table tennis.
you would appreciate the fact that Scarborough Sec was a 3-year school and Signal Hill
Yeah, but
started as a senior
right, but
comprehensive.
I'm actually talking about before Scarborough Sec became a 3-year school. It was a dominant table tennis mecca.
Yeah, well,
You understand?
lately, they still, and Tobago still continue to do well with table tennis.
Yeah.
They still continue to do well, and I think we owe the youths of Tobago a debt. We have to continue to provide the facilities that they could excel, because they have shown that with the proper development and the proper facilities, because some of the Tobago players at times had to go to Trinidad to train.
Right.
So one of the responsibilities we have is to provide that avenue for them, that they could excel, because they have proven over the years that once the opportunity and the environment is there, that they would excel.
Right. Bishops was dominant in basketball.
They still are.
Yeah, dominant in basketball, and here's another sport that I have not seen in a while: badminton. I know badminton was the only place I actually saw badminton being played was in Bishops. I can't remember seeing badminton being played anywhere else.
Probably because both of them begin with B.
So and I'm seeing it now. I know that but is badminton, and maybe some of you here who are on the live could help us here. Whether badminton is still a sport that is played in the schools and so on. I have not really seen it in quite some time.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while either. But
somebody inside here saying that I am correct. Scarborough Sec was topping in netball and so on. Now, I'm just saying, somebody just say that.
yeah, but as I said, some of the disciplines, even though you have the few Tobagonians that will shine, that will stand out. One of the setbacks was a lack of a facility to actually play the sport.
Right.
We are exploring now, given the financial constraints and all that, but we are also exploring a home for rugby
Right.
and also table tennis.
Right.
You know, because these are sports that are growing on the island, and therefore they need to have a home.
Well, somebody just asking here whether the Shaw Park complex could host table tennis tournaments.
Yes, I think offers have started to come that way, that you know, different associations have been inquiring about the availability of the facility. So I think the onus is on us to put a good management team in place for
Right.
that specific purpose,
Right.
that you could actually market the venue after the Commonwealth Games.
Right.
So you could have it, you know, different people could come and have the use of it.
Right. You know, one of the questions that I asked the chairman of the LOC here on Tuesday was how long it takes to put down the floor for the basketball floor and so on. And I remember him saying, well, on average about 2.5 hours thereabout.
Well, the guys that have been, what actually was done was that they brought in a group of guys, young men, and trained them to do it.
Yes.
And I think the first day they went nearly beyond half day. Now they are down at about 3 hours.
Yeah, because
So
I mean,
it seems that they are getting better every day.
Right.
Because they're getting more used to it.
Right.
So if you're going to have the venue as one of such, then you're going to have people who are very efficient in putting down and taking up the floor,
Right.
because it is a multi-use
Indeed,
venue.
and that is what I was getting
And
at. That's what I was getting at.
That's
Because
the reason why
yes,
they have these young men and women, because there's a woman in the rush,
yes,
that they are training to put the floor down and take it up. So
Right.
you have them there. So when you need them, you call them and they just do the job.
right. Because Shaw Park is so heavily trafficked. No,
Yeah.
I mean that's you know, it is also almost mind blowing the amount of traffic that takes place in Shaw Park.
Well,
and
I
different
think
activities.
is a description of lonely and crowded.
Mhm.
Before, Shaw Park was a very lonely place.
Yes,
That if it was a man or a woman, it would have get your hand held about twice for the year. Now it seems to be a jostling going on for Shaw Park. And you know, I really want to congratulate the management of the complex now for the way how that place, you know, is graduations. I
Yes.
think for the first time in our history, we had one venue hosting
yeah. I
three
see about three
graduations at the same time. You know, and a lot of schools might have been encouraged by that, and they
Right,
could
right.
come together and do their
Yes,
graduation,
yes,
and it could
yes.
save costs.
Yes.
So,
yes,
you know,
I saw that.
Shaw Park is a hub of activities,
Indeed.
and we want to keep it that way
Yes.
and just improve on it.
Right.
And I think with the coming of the, there are some plans that the Chief Secretary is going to release for activities that are going to take place on that first floor once the roof is, the roof work is completed.
Yes.
But what I could tell you is that that place seemed to go from 0 to 100 in a
Yes.
few months.
Yes.
Because
Indeed,
of the
indeed.
level of activities.
Yes,
It seems now that you know, if a building could have been tired, then it would have been saying, give me a rest.
Indeed,
But you
indeed.
know, I mean, it's all good.
Yes.
And that's one of the things. You don't just build a facility. You have to build a facility with a plan in mind.
Indeed.
And a long-term plan. And one of our sour points on the island, I should say, in the country, is one of management and maintenance.
Indeed.
So I think that they are sort of on the right track with in Shaw Park,
Yes.
and it could only get better.
Yes, and I mean I agree with you, and even the staff and the way they handle their responsibilities and so on, it shows that they are committed to duty and so on. And as you were saying a while ago, with having to do the same thing over and over, you obviously get better and
Well,
better.
you should,
You should, yes.
because some people
yeah,
manage
yeah.
this country over and over, and we didn't get
But
better.
indeed.
Some
That's a good point. That's a
some
good point.
people go to school every day,
Yes.
and at the end of the day, when the time for the test comes around, they are left wanting.
Indeed.
So being there long doesn't guarantee that you will
Indeed.
do a good job.
Indeed. Agreed.
because we are there short.
Yes.
And we are exceptional in terms of utilizing
Agreed.
some of the
Agreed.
resources.
You're on a roll. You're on a roll.
So basically, I think that it comes back to focus and just dealing with what your duty is.
Right.
If these workers at Shopper and the management were studying the chitter-chatter, they wouldn't have this kind of thing going on.
Indeed.
So they are focused, and probably they are leading the way and showing us what we need to do as an administration to get on with the job and get ahead.
Right. That's a good point. In case you're now joining us, this is Full Disclosure here on Tobago Updates, and I'm talking with Mr. Wayne Clark. We're talking about responding to the war that has been declared against us here in Tobago, the war against the THE and the war by extension against the Tobago people. But we intend to stand our ground, and our fight is not, we're not in all this physical fight and all that. We are just focusing. Our response to the attacks is to focus on the work that we have been elected to engage, the mandate of the administration. And I am encouraged by what is happening across. While tonight we are zeroing on sport, and because of the Commonwealth Games that is going to be happening in a few weeks, but across the divisions, there's just an exceptional amount of work that is taking place, and our encouragement to our colleagues is to keep going, don't stop regardless of what. We will continue to do what we have been elected to do to the best of our ability. So, we have a couple more slides that we will go to, but we're coming up on a break, and then we're going to get into another aspect of the games, and we're going to look at the preparation that is taking place in that facility, and so on, and talk about that, and so on, and the impact of that on the district in which this is taking place, the impact on that, on the sport itself, and people's enthusiasm as it relates to that. So stay with us. We're going to be back in a bit. We're taking another break. Stay here.
Tobago, after freeness is more speed and better TV. Get a free Samsung smartphone and free installation, plus 200 megabits per second, Paramount Plus, and more for only $299 with a select 200 plan from Flow. Visit online at discoverflow.co today.
Right now, Tobagonians are just currying down to Bonaccord, right in Stobie Local Road. You know why? To come down and shop at Authentic Builders General Hardware, the only hardware store in Tobago that is giving you guys Trinidad prices. So for instance, such as steel, half-inch and 5/8, $7,895. 5/8 construction ply for $260. Every single thing that you will need to do your home renovation or start your new construction, we have it right here. And to get your quotation, it's very easy. Just WhatsApp us at 272-1990 and we will do your free WhatsApp quotation for you.
The best place to stay in Tobago is at Thorn's Place, with rates starting as low as 200 TT. Call or WhatsApp 745-7306 or 682-8676. We are located uptown Scarborough, 5 minutes away from the port. Remember, at Thorn's Place, our aim is to make your stay safe and affordable.
Good morning. Put a smile on your
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your nice can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. If sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry. If times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you. Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Welcome back, viewers. This is Full Disclosure here on Tobago Updates. I'm your host, Terrence Baines, and chatting with me this evening is Mr. Wayne Clark, Assistant Secretary in the Division of Community Development, Youth Development, and Sport. He is a man with direct responsibility overseeing the preparation for the Commonwealth Youth Games that's going to be held here in Tobago from August 4th through to the 11th. And we're just talking about the preparation, looking at the sites and looking at the work that is going on and talking about sport in general and what the impact of hosting these disciplines here, what impact that would have on our sport here in Tobago and that kind of thing. This is something that we are very excited about, the possibilities, the prospects of us hosting these games. So we want to go now and look at images from the Buku integrated facility where the triathlon will be held. And Mr. Clark, I want you to weigh in on this particular discipline and so on, even as we look at the facilities. I went there today, actually, looking at the work. A lot of painting, for the most part, seemed to be the heaviest part of the work that is taking place there. And the work is coming along quite nicely. One of the principals was saying that they are way ahead of time in terms of finishing up what they were supposed to do.
Yes, well, with the Buku facility, the triathlon starts and ends at Buku.
Okay.
I think they're going to utilize the track you see in there as a run up to the finish line.
Okay.
So, because that they conceptualize that in order to have it a little more spectator friendly. And the visitors so far from the Commonwealth team seem to be blown away at just the thought of goat race.
Yes.
So the local organizing committee might have to find some way to integrate goat there with them.
Well, I actually heard Mr. Leacock say that I believe at the closing ceremony in Pigeon Point, that there would be some goat racing. I suspect that would be, to add to the diet of those that would be visiting with us. But let's talk about this discipline that is called triathlon. I've seen it a lot on TV. I know there have been several triathlons held there in Tobago, over in the same Corland area and so on. Let's talk about that as a discipline and so on, the preparation for that kind of sport.
Well, what we have actually is not just a triathlon, it's a sprint triathlon. So the distances might be shorter than the traditional triathlon because it was designed to, to complete in a faster time. So it is sprint triathlon. So you're going to have the swimming, I'm not sure in what order, but the swimming, the cycling, and
then the running.
Short run.
A short run.
Right?
Okay.
So, but I think the last thing they wanted to do, what they was dealing with, was to finish the race in the facility, so it could be a little more spectator. People could sit there and see, because sometimes people don't focus too much on the rigors of the journey of the race.
Right.
they see the start, and then they want to see who come in first.
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna have an opportunity to sit and watch at the, whereby he opens the door that, vendors could be engaged and
Right.
you could have added entertainment along the way, while that is happening. So it's an exciting time for Boko, and not only Boko, but Tobago.
Right. So in my mind, I'm thinking, from what I've seen, I mean, we don't know which discipline will be first, whether it's the cycling
I
or
think it's the swimming.
the swimming may
Yeah,
be
let's
first.
start
Okay.
off with the swimming.
So let's get some of the image. I had a couple images, a beautiful shot of the Buku beach and so on. We can't put up the images without that. That sells everything. And a couple other shots. There's another one at to the left, and if we could find that one, it is amazing how the Buku area, especially what we are looking at here, this is a shot facing west. And this is, of course, the jetty area. We see the sign, the I Love Buku sign, where the fishermen come in and bring their fish and that kind of stuff. But to the south, there is this bathing area that has become and is becoming one of the more popular beaches, one of the more popular bathing areas in Tobago in the last few years.
Indeed, and I think it really took off just after COVID. It was popular before, but when they just opened up the beach,
Yes.
because we opened up before Trinidad.
Yes.
When we just opened up the beach, it seemed like to get a bath in Buku, you had to line up and pull a number. It was that crowded, and I think it's the best place we could have right now for the triathlon, and it's all good that we could do these things. And as I say, that the youth games is a starting point in many instances for us to launch,
Yes.
to host different competitions. And because one of the things with even the Rainbow Cup that just went a couple of weeks ago was that there were issues with the Corland Beach, because predominantly is a turtle nesting area.
Yes. And
So
the seasons around now, I think.
So it always raised concern when there is events there.
Heavy traffic going on the beach. Yes.
So, and that's one of the, I don't want to jump, but that was one of the reasons why the coming of the facility on the other side of the road.
Gotcha. So I mean, Buku is a place. Buku has its own buzz, for Buku, and Buku has been one of the communities in Tobago from as far back as when, while it may be predominantly on a Sunday, you understand?
No,
And
it used to be a Sunday and a Thursday.
Yes, indeed, that is the truth. Is the truth.
As a little
Yeah,
boy,
yeah, that's the truth.
My mother used to run the beach bar, and I used to be there with her. So I'm sure about Thursday.
Yeah, that is the truth.
What you used to have on a Thursday is that you'd go up by the Panten, Buccaneers on the hill, and from there you come down.
Right. No, I was sharing with somebody about the Buku goat race that I knew from growing up and so on. When we, of course, it used to be up by the Panten area. And
No, up in the back.
Yeah, but I'm saying my recollection. I mean, my parents started taking me there, I guess, in the late 60s or whatever.
In the back by Miller's guest house.
Right. So I remember vividly the race running down on Chan Street there, and then the Pantent. They used to have maypole in the Pantent and dance competition and all kind of stuff,
You used to call it a folk theater.
Yes, and then they had the Buku Folk Theater, which used to happen during the week, I think.
Yeah, that's how the Thursday got popular.
Right. And but so Buku has evolved over the years, having its own festival, you can call it that,
So
I mean, yes, that is it. What people call Sunday school. I remember some friends came from Trinidad and sitting here in about Sunday school. Some Christian friends of mine.
They didn't come with their testament.
No, Christian friends actually. they heard about Sunday school and asking, and when I described it to them, they found that it was odd. You understand? But so with the coming now of this event in the Buku space and all the work that has been done, to improve the waterfront, the boardwalk, and the facilities there, and the impact these activities have on the livelihood of the people of
Yes,
Buku
indeed,
and
it's
so
great.
on. Let's talk a little bit about that, about this community, about the overall impact, or added impact, I should say, on the Buku space, and perhaps even young people from the village of Buku who may be encouraged to engage and in sport in general, and perhaps this kind of discipline.
Well, traditionally, Boko has always been a sporting community. Yeah? They would have been pretty excellent at football,
Yes.
basketball,
Yes.
you know,
Tennis
so
too.
right. So
Yes.
it always had its history.
Yes.
Its history there, and with the and they were able to have an industry in that little area, a whole industry in that area. The amount of vendors that is there. If you go down there on a Sunday night, I mean, the place is really buzzing with activities.
Indeed.
And so, sometimes you have one thing, and with proper planning, you always capitalize on the spin-off from it. And they were able to have like a whole little industry down inside that little hole over the years. And it furnished some people with a very decent livelihood.
Indeed.
So
Indeed.
You look at Boko, you look at Storby, you look at Mount Irvin, and then you look at Castara.
Yes.
And these places, and more recently Speyside, because the reef up there. So we have to understand that with the tourism is one thing, but the tourism bring a lot of spin-off. And because in a small society like this, the THA will never be able to hire everybody.
Indeed.
But they can provide opportunities through the work that they're doing that could provide that in a spin-off way.
Right. So with the remaining time that we have, Mr. Clark, we want to look at the images from the Blackrock sporting facility and so on. And those disciplines that would be played there, the work that is taking place, the places are buzz with activity, the concept, the kind of green, the green theme, I will put it that way, this that is user friendly and so on. I remember Mr. Leacock using the phrase, was it responsibly harvestic? You understand? So as we go along, let's talk about this image before us. Let's talk about what is the concept here. This kind of terracing approach, and so what is the concept?
Well, one of the things that was one of the mindsets was that you're going to provide different places for people to enjoy the activity. So some of these, like how you're watching here, this shot, that some of the viewing audience going to be able to look at it from there. It might not be completed for the games, but those are areas that will be grassed.
Okay.
And in a picnic style, because it's a beach sport. So you're going to look at it from different places. You're going to have bleachers. You have the wooden stands that you see there, which, as they describe, it's eco-friendly. And you just have a host of options where you could look at the events. And remember that this facility, while we're going to have predominantly beach volleyball there this time around, it's built with as much open space as possible. So you can also, because it's earmarked to have beach football, handball, and beach tennis also. So there's a host of other activities, and I actually think that there's a request to host an international beach football tournament at this venue in November.
Right.
Because I should mention that this will be the only one of official size and with all the international requirements in the country.
So this wooden structure that we see in here, let's talk about that and what that represents and so on.
Well, we wanted to get away from the traditional concrete. And then, you're actually right at the waterfront.
Yes.
You just cross the road. So you wanted to put something that, other than standing the test of time, that you wanted it to be, sort of one of a kind, but it must be eco-friendly. Because one of the challenges we had on the other side of the road, we know, as we said before, about the turtle nesting and all that.
Yes.
So you had also built a facility in mind that even if it's on the other side of the road, that it wouldn't, the spin-off effects of it would not affect the wildlife,
Right.
the nesting things on the other side of the road. And
I got you.
it's a facility that, I say, I'm so proud of this facility. I'm so proud of EID Cut. I'm so proud of Mr. Leacock and the team. It just seems like one of the things, like a perfect dance. Everybody just moving in harmony.
Right.
To see this thing become a
Yes.
reality. And
Yes.
it tells you what we can achieve if we just, as I said before, focus.
Right.
Focus on the work, the task at hand, and not focus on the rumors.
Right.
Not focus on the old talk.
Right.
At the end of the day, you're going to be judged on what you delivered, not the rumors you respond to, not the old talk that you engage in, not the bacchanal that you choose to, because all these things have one similar bottom line: zero. We choose to stay away from that and focus on delivering for the people of Tobago.
Right.
Despite the limited resources, the only thing not limited to this administration is the attacks.
Right.
But we are, we are resilient people.
Yes, indeed. No, I remember when we started this and the Chief Secretary talked about, he was the first person that put in this space the term a legacy project and so on. Let's speak to that. What does this mean for the Tobago people? What's the implication?
Well, when you speak about a legacy project, a major games come to your island or your country, and you want to put down something that would go on beyond the games.
Right.
Because remember, the initial plan was
Yes.
to just do a temporary facility in Pigeon Point.
Yes.
And the bill would have still be in the millions, but it's something that would have to be broken down and taken away, dismantled after the games. And what, how you would capture that very audience for a return.
I got you.
Yes. So we thought it was the sensible thing to do, the responsible thing to do, to put up something that will go on, that Tobagonians could have the use of a world-class facility even long after the games. And it could also be used to attract other world-class events.
Yes.
So it was built with the beach football, usually will be the largest pitch. So it was built with that space. So all the other sports that I mentioned, the handball, the volleyball, the tennis, could play within the confines.
Right.
So you sort of build one that fits four.
Right. I got you.
In doing that, only a thinking and focused mind could do that.
Yes.
Build one that fits four.
That fits four.
Not respond to four rumors, respond to housing for discipline.
Yes. You're on a roll, I have to tell you, you're on a roll. But seriously, I am so, because we've been going there looking at the progress of the work and so on. And in the last week or so, the speed that is in the space, the activity, that is taking place now. You kind of see now, sometimes when a project is at a particular stage, you kind of ain't seeing it, but now you're seeing, all right, what this is going to be manifested to be and so on. And the impact it is going to have on the Tobago people. We've been having conversations, Secretary Boris in the room, and so on, and the tourism aspect of this and so on. I mean, she's a tourism expert, you know, but we from as laymen, we can see how this is going to impact people coming into the space, coming after the games, and also the PR that is going to come from the games. Added PR.
That's why you need to do a good job.
Yes.
Because it's sort of your introduction to the world.
Right.
Because the world will be watching.
Indeed. And you really don't get a second chance to make a first time impression.
Exactly. So this, once executed properly, opens up the floodgates for us. And it's something that we got to be prepared to accept when it comes, not if it comes.
Right.
Because one of the quick things, over the years, I always say that, Tobago business people slow on the draw with certain things, but since from there were a couple people working on the site there, I saw a vendor there already with a table up and selling. So it creates opportunities. And with a bigger influx of people, it creates more opportunities for people to engage and sell their craft. So it's one of the things that the THA wouldn't be able to give everybody a direct work, but they could create situations that it could engage people in a bigger number.
Of course. I took a couple of pictures of the YMCA pool next door. I don't know if my friends here can pull up those couple shots and so on, because the YMCA facility has also benefited from.
It will.
You understand? And I know some refurbishments work has been done there as well to facilitate and so on. And so that is a very good thing as well.
Indeed. It brings the YMCA even more to the fore. Because it's sort of like one will expose the other. And the YMCA people will stand to benefit from activities, as we could say, not even over the road, over the fence.
Over the fence, yes.
So I think it's a good fit. The THA understand that we have to try. You may not be able to be 100% in terms of financing or assistance to everybody, but we gotta try to set the foundation, set the groundwork, so that these people can benefit going forward. With the numbers of people are gonna be there over the days, because I think that particular discipline might be the only one that's gonna be running every day for the duration of the sport, because the rugby might wrap up faster, the netball, whatever, but the volleyball gonna be there, and it's a kind of festive version of the sport, because you have to have music, you have to have all these things are requirements that has to be there.
Right.
So I think that the spin-off from it will be massive, and the YMCA just have to put themselves in the right place with the right things to benefit enormously from that.
Well, I mean, I know that they have been talking to us about assisting them, some of the upgrades that they need at the facility and so on, and they certainly will benefit from that.
Indeed.
Because even that is a facility that has already been there, but may not have had the amount of exposure that it stands to get now.
That's the point.
You understand? From the games coming there. So you call that blessing by association. You see?
Yeah, so I and even earlier, before this project actually got started, we actually journeyed along, myself, the area representative, Mr. George, and Mr. Leacock and his team, and we journeyed to Blackrock and had a conversation with the community at the center.
Right.
And they were all excited. They all bought into it.
Right.
Which
is a critical point.
I guess that's one of the reasons why there's nothing for this project other than support, because everybody was on board from the word go.
Right.
And I think it's important, it's even a lesson for us, that it is better that you engage the people at an early stage, that you can have them behind you and not blocking in front of you.
Right.
Yeah, I think that was important. They all saw the benefits that could come from it, and they were fully on board.
Right. And I mean, that's a salient point that you're making, because I really didn't even start talking about the impact on the immediate environment, the communities, Black Rock and even Plymouth to some extent, and so on.
Tobago essentially is a neighborhood.
Well,
So
that's true. That's true.
the Black Rock people, like the Boko people, could boast of having the facility closest to them.
Yes.
But in reality, it's in the Tobago neighborhood.
Indeed. Well, Mr. Clark, we just have a few more minutes, and we really want to take the next few minutes that we have and pretty much just kind of saying to the Tobago people and encouraging them to be ready for the season, to be prepared to come out and see some of the sport that is taking place. I mean, we're going to have athletes from all over the world, literally.
Throughout the Commonwealth.
Yeah, throughout the Commonwealth. I mean, converging on the Tobago space, to engage in these games and so on. I am excited, to see what will be happening and so on, and share your closing thoughts with the people and so on. And
well, I mean, honestly, Tobago, this is an exciting time, and you got to be prepared to reap the rewards of this. Remember, it's a beginning of something great to come, and the Commonwealth Games might be just the start of this journey, but we indeed expect it to be a long and successful journey. In terms of that facility could serve Tobago well, put us on the map, put us out there, and encourage people to come here and engage in the use of that facility. So it's something that we all have to be prepared to reap as much of the benefits from it as possible, because there are a lot of spin-off benefits that could be derived from it.
Indeed.
Right? I think that the onus is on us to have a proper maintenance and, an ongoing
regime
to keep the facility and manage it properly.
Right.
Because over the years, we fell down in many instances trying to build facilities and maintain it ourselves, and it never worked out. So it's one of the things that we have to hold in a little more higher esteem where that is concerned, and have a proper plan as to how we're going to manage the facility going forward, because indeed, it's a world-class facility. It's one of a kind.
Yes.
Just like Tobago is just set to take off to be one of a kind island.
Indeed.
And we are so special that we are receiving a one of a kind attack, and resisting it.
Yes.
And we'll overcome it.
Yes.
And we'll put it behind us. And probably the attacks like that, if we continue to deliver, will be no more.
Right. Viewers, we're out of time.
But not out of words.
But not, not out of words. But that's important. It's been a very interesting night talking here with Mr. Clark and letting you have an appreciation for what's happening. The Commonwealth Games are going to be here from August 4th through to the 11th. 4 disciplines, primarily in the Tobago space: rugby at Shaw Park grounds, netball at the cultural complex, triathlon at the Buku integrated facility, and of course beach volleyball and all the other beach sports that you could think about.
And just to put one plug here, I really want to congratulate the people that came forward.
Yes.
As volunteers.
Indeed.
People have long said that Tobago, people keep asking me that where can you go if you want to volunteer? And coming out of this Commonwealth Games, the thought was already there, but we're going to establish a volunteer registry that people could continue to come and sign up as volunteers, because one of the important things that while the volunteers were going through some training at Shaw Park last Saturday, there was this full-age woman who came to the venue and said, I want to sign up as a volunteer. I wouldn't be here for the Commonwealth Games, but beyond.
Yeah.
And that in itself just gave us an idea. So it's something that we're going to continue to encourage.
Yes.
Because I tell you, one of the reasons why we're going to win this war is there's nothing quite like the heart of a volunteer.
Very good. We're out of time. Have a fantastic night. Thank you for joining us for another edition of Full Disclosure. I'm Terrence Beans on behalf of Mr. Clark and the team here. See you again at another edition. God bless you. Have a great night.
Good night.